Well, the 49ers need to fix their defense. That's why they're still officially looking for a new defensive coordinator. They're very likely to land this guy. We've been talking about it over the course of the past couple of weeks, actually. They interviewed Robert Saleh on January 9th, which is over 2 weeks ago. Still not official. 49ers can hope that the Cowboys or the Raiders don't swoop in with some kind of big money offer for Robert Saleh to be their defensive coordinator. But once it is official, then we'll really be able to turn the page and focus on how Robert Saleh might be able to help the 49ers on the defensive side of the ball. This is the story up on the San Francisco Standard, but it includes this right here, a look at the 49ers defense over the years. And I've got some names. They're familiar faces with the Jets that Robert Saleh might bring in. Not all of them, but I think that there might be a name or two that the 49ers are interested in bringing, because as of right now, the only two 49ers under contract for 2025 on the defensive side of the ball who are members of the team back when Robert Saleh was first with the team in 2020 are Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. And if you look at the performance of the 49ers over the years, it was good back when Saleh was there. It was great in DeMeco Ryans' final year, and then it fell off under Steve Wilks and Nick Sorensen. There's a lot of red right here on this table. If you look at that performance and then you couple it with the depth chart, specifically on the defensive side of the ball, which is right here, there are a lot of empty spots. 49ers have a lot of work to do to build up this defense. Now, they have plenty of players under contract on the defensive line, but only 3 players under contract who are projected to make the 53-man roster. Only 3 players, period, under contract right now for 2025 at linebacker: Fred Warner, D. Winters, Tatum Bethune. So a lot of work to do there. Only 2 outside cornerbacks under contract, 3 if you count Darrell Luter Jr., but somebody's got to be slotted in to be that nickel back on the 53, and 3 safeties. So at least 1 more safety, I think, is going to have to be signed, even though they have signed some players outside of the 90-man, and Quindale Johnson this offseason. So a lot of roster building work to do, and I think a lot of performance work to do. The first thing that the 49ers have to do is fix the run defense. So whenever there is new leadership, and there will be new leadership, and it's exceedingly likely going to be Robert Saleh, and the reason that I'm couching it with exceedingly likely is because nothing has been signed yet, and we saw how crazy that situation with Liam Cohn was, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers thought that he was going to be their coordinator again, and then he ended up surreptitiously flying over across the state of Florida to Jacksonville, and then he ended up signing with them. But whoever takes this job, and it's exceedingly likely going to be Robert Saleh, has got to fix this part right here in the bottom left. Run defense has sunk. I mean, 49ers were so prideful over the years that even if the pass defense was worse, and in 2017 and 2018 especially definitely was, they were still above average run defense. They were still in the blue when it came to run defense. Dark blue when it came to run defense. That all fell off a cliff when Steve Wilks came aboard, and got even worse with Nick Sorensen in 2024. So the first thing that you look at is the familiar faces that Robert Saleh might bring in to San Francisco from the New York Jets. There are a series of players from that Jets defense which performed really well while Robert Saleh was there. There are a series of players who are scheduled to be free agents in this offseason. So not yet, but in March, they're going to become free agents. And I talk quite a bit about this in the article that's up on the San Francisco Standard. So this is one that you should go check out. I'm going to send it back over to Mike. Go ahead and go to the description, and you could check out this link. Mike, there you go. We discussed the familiar faces, the former 49ers names to begin. Somebody like Solomon Thomas. And this is going to cause people to throw tomatoes at me. Good thing I'm not live. Good thing I'm sitting here behind the safety of the internet. But Solomon Thomas, the pressure is off Solomon Thomas at this point. This is not somebody who was picked with a top 3 overall pick, who people expect to be a game wrecker, obviously never was. In relation to the draft pick, he very clearly was a bust. But he's 29 years old now. He's going to be 30 years old toward the end of next season. Solomon Thomas has carved out a nice career for himself. He's gotten anywhere between 3.5 and 5 sacks per season. He's a good edge setter against the run. And most of all, he's reliable. The guy plays a full season almost every season. The last time that he didn't was in 2020 when everybody got hurt. He got hurt in the same game as Nick Bosa on his future home field over at MetLife Stadium in New York. That was week 2 when the 49ers played the Jets. So Solomon Thomas is obviously somebody that Robert Saleh wanted with him as a rotational defensive lineman in New York, and he was a rotational defensive lineman on some really good Jets defenses. Played at Stanford, friends with Christian McCaffrey, hasn't gotten to be on the same team as Christian McCaffrey yet. To me, it might make a whole lot of sense for the 49ers if this Robert Saleh thing does cross the finish line to bring Solomon Thomas back. It's not like you're going to be investing first-round draft capital in him. This would be a $2 to $3 million a year proposition for a good rotational defensive lineman on a team where good rotational defensive linemen, I think, are certainly needed. I mean, the 49ers, they were decently happy with their group of defensive linemen last year. There was a time where it looked like they were truly breaking through and could become a dominant front. It never quite got there. I think when Yetur Gross-Matos was healthy and playing well late in the season, that was awesome for the 49ers. Leonard Floyd, good cleanup sack guy. He hustles a lot, but it's a little lighter to consider a dominant edge stopper against the run. Somebody like Sam Okawanu really played above his head, especially early in the season. You could see Solomon Thomas fitting into that 4-man rotation and giving it a boost for the 49ers. So that's not a name that I would discount at this point. That's a name that has been with San Francisco in the past that would come in under very different circumstances this time around if they are able to lure him over. And again, you're looking for good, healthy veteran leadership. And Solomon Thomas has been in the league now for several years. He's going to be entering age 30 and still playing solid football for San Francisco. Played a lot of defensive tackle, like quick defensive tackle for the Jets. I would envision the 49ers have a setup, especially with the wide 9 that they run. And I know the Jets ran some of this as well, where on base, this was with Solomon Thomas his first time around, and they weren't all too displeased. Once they got used to Solomon Thomas not being this dominant force that they hoped that he would be in 2017 when they drafted him, they got used to him being a guy that was playing inside and out for them, that could rotate. And you're looking for this on the offensive line, but you're especially looking for it on the defensive line. You want that adaptability. It helps you combat the run. It helps you deliver against the pass. The rage in the NFL ever since Aaron Donald took over the league has been to have smaller defensive tackles operating on the inside against guards. So when we look at how the 49ers defensive line has operated, Yetur Gross-Matos, Charles Omenihu, who's now with the Chiefs. Charles Omenihu, by the way, leads all active players with 4 QB strips, like 4 forced fumbles in the postseason. He got another one this past week against C.J. Stroud. Remember, he got one against Geno Smith in the 2022 playoffs in the wild card round. Anyway, a good example of somebody playing outside and inside, gives them that adaptability on the defensive line. Arden Key did it for the 49ers in the past. I think Yetur is that guy for San Francisco now, and I absolutely could see somebody like Solomon Thomas playing an inside-out role for the 49ers moving forward. Other players from the New York Jets, this is one that's really interesting. Javon Kinlaw. Kinlaw is becoming a better and better pass rusher. I think that we saw that in his final year with the 49ers, which was that 2023 season before he left to the Jets in 2024. Saleh really liked Kinlaw coming out of college. That was another player, first-round pick, a lot of pressure on Kinlaw. Then he had the injury issues, but he's found a way to stay generally healthy over the course of the past couple of years, finally has figured out the knee, And he was a productive pass rusher for the 49ers alongside Javon Hargrave in the year that they went to the Super Bowl. It was funny to me. It was ironic that Javon Kinlaw's run defense actually went downhill and his pass rush went uphill over the course of his career as he got healthier. If he could find a way to stabilize those two things, and he was wearing number 54 for the Jets when you watch their tape this past season, and I think he did. I don't think that – I think he's become a smarter player as time has gone on because he's gotten more reps. Remember that the knee issues and the ACL repair, he was limited, severely limited. By the time he hit 2023, he basically only had one season of reps under his belt. So we saw him beat a lot of times on trap plays. He fired the wrong gap. Offensive lines and just offensive schemes in general would run deception up front, and Javon Kinlaw would bite. It happened famously for me when I was watching that game against the Cleveland Browns on the road last season, week 5 for the 49ers. It seemed, or week 6 for the 49ers in Cleveland. They had PJ Walker at quarterback, and the Browns shouldn't have been able to move the ball in that game, but they were able to take advantage of over-aggressiveness on the 49ers defensive front, and they capitalized on Javon Kinlaw there a few times. I'm like, man, he's just got to get more in tune with the defensive game plan. He has to see more offensive tricks so he could better counter them. And I think that now that he's strung together a couple seasons, this could be a player who is able to finally use that prodigious size that he brought as a first-round pick to better combat the run. But he's improved as a pass rusher over the years. And that continued for Javon Kinlaw this past year in New York. He had 3.5 sacks for the 49ers in 2023. Got some good pressure for San Francisco that year, up to 4.5 sacks for the New York Jets last season. And it was a 1-year deal. So it's a tale of two 49ers first-round picks, right? Javon Kinlaw, Solomon Thomas. Neither of those two guys played up to the billing of a first-round pick, but that's water under the bridge. We're not talking about first-round picks anymore. We're talking about rotational pieces that Robert Saleh has liked in the past, that he's worked with, and he has a lot of experience working with more recently with the Jets, that he might be able to bring over to the 49ers, might attract in free agency to San Francisco for 2025 and beyond. And when you look at the setup of San Francisco's roster, defensive tackle is extremely interesting to me because that's where they let Eric Armstead go last year. I'm going to highlight the defensive tackle spots specifically. They replaced him with Malik Collins. They're letting Javon Hargrave go this year. They're interested in bringing Javon Hargrave back, by the way, but they may not have that in their budget. We're going to see what he commands on the open market. So that tells you right off the bat that the 49ers are looking for D-tackle help. So if Hargrave is outside of the 49ers budget, would Kinlaw be inside the 49ers budget? And you love the size. They saw this as a wide nine tool back when they drafted him out of South Carolina in 2020. Could he be somebody that gives you what Jordan Elliott has given you against the run, but with an actual pass rushing presence? I mean, that's an upgrade right away for San Francisco. That's an upgrade at a cost that isn't prohibitive. Be an upgrade over Kalia Davis. Evan Anderson delivered some solid football his first year, but Javon Kinlaw would be an upgrade there as well. So that's another familiar face that the 49ers, I could definitely see them kicking the tires on Javon Kinlaw this offseason in free agency, especially since he's shown that he can stay healthy over the past couple of seasons. The next one is, and there's a lot more room on the roster for this one, and this one's probably going to be more popular with people, DJ Reed. And I talked about this already in our bigger shows covering the Robert Saleh possibility with the 49ers, likelihood with the 49ers. DJ Reed was Deommodore Lenoir version 1.0. Lenoir is Reed 2.0. 2018, he's the one that got away as well. They draft Reed in the 5th round out of Kansas State in 2018. Shows up during their Super Bowl year, makes some plays for the football team that Super Bowl year. And then he gets hurt. And over the offseason, they waive him with the injury designation. And look who swoops in to pick up DJ Reed, the Seattle Seahawks. He's the type of cornerback that the Seattle-style system really likes. Could play inside out. We know the 49ers like to do that now with Lenore, but he's just a scrappy player, good against the run, long arms, fit the mold, right? He fit the mold. Richard Sherman loved DJ Reed. Sherman got to mentor DJ in 2018 and 2019. Well, when DJ got poached away by the Seahawks, he turned into a star. And he then went to the Jets because Saleh wanted him back. So he was with the Jets after that, and he played well for the Jets. And if you look at the 49ers cornerback situation, it's bare bones when it comes to depth there. This is the cornerback room. Lenore and Ronaldo Green. And Charvarius Ward not under contract for 2025. Darrell Luter Jr. hadn't really played corner for this team. He's played special teams. They've got high hopes for him. Even if these are your three guys next year, even if Darrell Luter Jr. emerges and is ready to become a big-time player for San Francisco, even in that event, you need depth. You can't risk going to a Brian Allen situation like they did in 2020, last time that Robert Saleh was the defensive coordinator. You need more bodies here. So I think in an ideal world, you do bring in a DJ Reed type of player, type of veteran, if you can't re-sign Charvarius Ward, so that Luter can filter in as depth instead of being thrown right into the fire, because this is a huge vulnerability for the 49ers. I absolutely look at DJ Reed as obviously a scheme fit, obviously a Saleh fit, and obviously a potential fit into the 49ers roster construction right here as they try to retool this defense under their likely new defensive coordinator. Other players that are free agents for this Jets team, Ashton Davis is a safety. Actually, he went to Cal, really athletic safety out of Cal, versatile guy on the back end because of the athleticism. I remember him back at Cal. He was doing standing back flips and all kinds of crazy stuff. Just kind of a freak athlete, really bouncy out there on that football field. Probably a good special teams player. Could be somebody that the 49ers are interested in. And then everybody's going to be talking about Hassan Reddick, because Hassan Reddick is, he's an enigma. He held out this year for a long time after he was traded to the Jets from the Philadelphia Eagles. And when you look at his box score, let me open up Hassan Reddick's numbers from the past several seasons. He didn't perform this year, that's for sure, but he definitely performed over the course of his time with Philadelphia. We're talking double-digit sacks for Hassan Reddick over 4 straight seasons. First with Arizona in 2020, 12.5 sacks. Then with Carolina in 2021, 11 sacks. Then with Philadelphia in 2022, 16 sacks. That was the year where he injured Brock Purdy in the NFC Championship game. Then at age 29 with Philadelphia, 11 sacks in 2023. Then he came over to the Jets, and that was a complete disaster. Hassan Reddick ended up playing 10 games. They were finally able to get him into the building. They were really desperate, but I don't think he was in good shape, and he only had 1 sack over those 10 games. Obviously, he'd be playing on a new deal. Probably it would have to be a prove-it deal for somebody like Hassan Reddick at this point, because he's going to be 31 this year. It's coming off a season where he didn't earn himself any favors as far as benefit of the doubt in the NFL. But the 49ers, we talk about it, they could really, really use an edge rushing punch opposite Nick Bosa that turns Leonard Floyd into that third rotational edge rusher. They could go with the group that they have right now, and they could get decent production, which they got last year. But if we're talking about 2019, gold rush, roaring to new levels, then you need to pick up, I think, a little bit more serious punch. And maybe they draft somebody over the first couple rounds. Maybe that could be an instant impact player. We'll talk much more about the draft. But if we're talking about players who've been in the building with Robert Saleh, people are going to be mentioning Hassan Reddick. I don't think it's likely. I think that there's a lot of baggage there. I think that this past season showed the trouble that can be associated with him. So it's one that we can talk about, but I don't think one that's likely. Something that might be a little bit likelier is a former Robert Saleh player for the New York Jets, who no longer is with the Jets. This was all part of a trade. There are rumors that Philadelphia might cut him because he hadn't done anything for the Eagles. Bryce Huff, an edge rusher who had a fantastic 2023 season, was an undrafted free agent of the Jets in 2020, really blossomed under Robert Saleh. He's under contract with Philadelphia. I don't know exactly what the move from the Philadelphia Eagles would be in this case, but here you could take a look at what Bryce Huff has managed to do over the course of his career with Robert Saleh. This was from 2023. I mean, this was a top pressure rate guy. For that reason, I'm not sure that Philadelphia is going to want to just let him go, even though he was literally benched this past season by the Eagles and the production wasn't there. But keep in mind that this is a former undrafted free agent, light, fast edge rusher, bearing in on Dak Prescott there, who has not performed after a trade to the Philadelphia Eagles and who might be available. He led the league in pressure rate. So it's something that we should keep an eye out for over the course of this offseason. Either way, it's going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy tracking this. And at some point, you would think that this becomes finalized, unless, of course, somebody swoops in with a last-minute offer to Robert Saleh that makes him get cold feet with the 49ers. But it's all in line to happen. And then when it does happen, we can officially start talking about the possibilities on the table for San Francisco. Why don't we move this to another 49ers Q&A? Happy hour here on Friday. I think it's officially happy hour. You could say 4 o'clock on Friday's happy hour. I'll answer some of your questions, and then I'll be off to dinner. Mike thinks the Eagles might cut Huff. That's what he was telling me. Hey, guys, dead money is dead money. If a team believes that a player is a sunk cost, they'd rather take the dead money. I think that Huff showed enough as a pass rusher with the Jets to where I'm not sure that he's just going to be that easily of a disposable asset for the Eagles. But it's a situation to monitor as we approach this offseason. And the Eagles are obviously still playing right now, so we'll watch them. That's going to be on Sunday. That's going to be the early game on Sunday, right? Yeah, Eagles Commanders NFC Championship. Jesse asking what happened with Drake Jackson. He was on IR for the whole year, coming back from a knee operation. So that there might be a chance that Drake is back and ready to go this offseason. That's somebody that we'll check in on. He's still on the 49ers roster. Again, edge rushing depth is valuable. You don't let go of it for no reason. So that's a caveat that you tie with any edge rusher who's shown any kind of flash in the NFL. Huff obviously has. Somebody like Drake Jackson has to a lesser extent, but it's been hard for him to stay healthy at the NFL level. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's actually 6 o'clock where I'm at. I'm past the 5 o'clock hour. 5 o'clock is in the past. For you guys, 5 o'clock is in the future. For me, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock is in the past because it's 6. All right, a couple more good questions, then I'm done. No more word on assistant coaches beyond the fact, and I already talked about this in a separate video, that if Robert Saleh officially comes aboard, Brandon Staley likely will not be with the 49ers because he comes from a completely different tree. He comes from the Fangio tree. Saleh would become the de facto head coach of the defense, just like he was from 2017 to 2020. But I think it's premature to talk about how the 49ers might structure all of this until Robert Saleh is officially on board. This show is brought to you by Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions. It also monitors your spending and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/gameon today. Once again, go to rocketmoney.com/gameon. All right. That's the word from Rocket Money. That's my show about the 49ers. Hopefully next time we talk, I have a more concrete update for you. But this time, we're talking about the roster. That was fun. Go check out the article up on the San Francisco Standard. It's there for you. Everybody enjoy happy hour. It's Friday. Go act like it. Take care.